Welcome, this is the Film Symbologist. In this video, I will be continuing my ongoing analysis of Prometheus by taking a closer look at the Weyland Corporation, one of the key drivers of the story in Ridley Scott's film. If you haven't seen the previous installments of this analysis series, I suggest checking those out. Within the film and its supporting material, the Weyland Corporation is shown to be an enormous enterprise involved in numerous industries, including planet terraforming, resource mining, and robotics and artificial intelligence. At least for the Prometheus mission, the Weyland Corporation also appears to engage in scientific expeditions to advance knowledge of the universe, purportedly for the good of humanity.
Weyland Corporation, building better worlds.
Hello, friends. My name is Peter Weyland. I am your employer. I have spent my entire lifetime contemplating the questions: where do we come from? What is our purpose? What happens when we die? And I have finally found two people who have convinced me they're on the verge of answering them. Doctors Holloway and Shaw, if you would... As far as you're concerned, they're both in charge. The Titan, Prometheus, wanted to give mankind equal footing with the gods. For that, he was cast from Olympus. Well, my friends, the time has finally come for his return.
Like the members of the expedition's crew listening to Weyland's presentation, the audience of the film is led to believe that Holloway, Shaw, and the scientists' quest for knowledge about humanity's origins are leading the mission. For anyone who has ever seen an Alien or Ridley Scott film before, it was easy to predict that the corporation likely had ulterior motives. If you were suspicious of the Weyland Corporation's motives when you first watched the movie, your suspicions were quickly confirmed when one of the company's representatives, Meredith Vickers, invites the scientists into her quarters on the ship for a conversation.
I think there might be some confusion about our relationship. Let's say you do find these beings down there. You won't engage them. You won't talk to them. You will do nothing but report back to me.
Miss Vickers, is there an agenda that you're not telling us about?
The company paid $1 trillion to find this place. Had you raised the monies yourself, Mr. Holloway, we'd be pursuing your agenda.
While the Weyland Corp's agenda is not explicitly stated, the audience can infer that the corporation was embarking on the scientific expedition to LV-223 in order to gather information about resources on the remote moon that could be capitalized upon to further the company's interests. Mining and energy companies regularly pay for research, studies, surveys, expeditions, and exploration to locate natural resources so they can be extracted and refined. This is common practice in industrial sectors. Characters within the film speculate about the purpose of the Prometheus expedition and whether it's related to a terraforming operation or more personal motives.
Something's manufacturing breathable air down there. That maid is terraforming.
No. The bet was why we came here. If you said the dead old man wanted to talk to Martians, then I'd pay.
Oh, come on, 100 credits.
Towards the end of the film, the true purpose of both the expedition and the company are revealed. The Weyland Corporation's chief purpose is not to further the company's industrial interests, but to advance the power, status, influence, and longevity of its founder and CEO, Peter Weyland. This purpose trumps even the financial concerns of the company. If Weyland's expedition bankrupts the company, then so be it. He doesn't care.
If you're really going down there, you're going to die.
Very negative way of looking at things. exactly why you should have stayed at home.
Did you really think I was gonna sit in a boardroom for years arguing over who was in charge while you go look for some miracle in some godforsaken rock in the middle of space?
And what is the purpose of the aging man's expedition? To talk to Martians? Or is it to find the fountain of youth and to drink from it? For Weyland, his corporation, and every member of the Prometheus ship's crew are expendable pawns in his personal quest for eternal life. He couldn't care less about the rest of mankind, others' lives, and answers to a variety of existential questions. He only cares about receiving a solution to his own impending existential crisis. As far as Weyland is concerned, members of the crew are there to ensure that he arrives on LV-223, finds out where the elixir of life is located, and is able to take it for himself. If members of the crew need to be sacrificed or experimented upon for Weyland's benefit, then that's okay. In fact, that's why they are there. The false premise of the mission being a scientific expedition is simply to trick people and entice them to unknowingly participate in Weyland's real mission. This is something that occurs all the time in our world outside of the film. Large corporations, governments, and other powerful interests will fund studies that merely confirm the findings desired by the funders. Some scientists compromise their integrity by participating in fraudulent and biased research. Others, who won't capitulate, may lose out on funding opportunities and fade into irrelevance. Energy companies will often conceal their core activities behind tertiary philanthropic, charitable, or environmental causes in order to garner support, disguise misdeeds, or restore reputations. Even wars are fought over resources such as oil reserves and energy production. Governments sell those wars to its citizens with appeals to fear, security, and patriotism. Peter Weyland may have even convinced his company's board that LV-223 contained information, resources, or technology that could benefit the corporation's bottom line. This would have concealed Weyland's true purpose. The Weyland Corp may very well have been hoping to find energy resources to exploit in the LV-223 pyramids, without knowing that the CEO was only concerned about fueling his own God complex, cementing his own legacy, and erecting his own temple. In addition to commenting on general corporatism in the wider society, Prometheus may also offer insight into the filmmaking process itself. In the late 2000s, when Ridley Scott was in the early stages of discussing the possibility of an Alien prequel with 20th Century Fox, the franchise was in a limbo stage. Sequels and spin-offs had watered down the xenomorph creature and lost some of the early film's appeal and marketability. At the time, New Line Cinema recently had success with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Warner Brothers Studios was raking in revenue with the Harry Potter film series. For the Alien franchise to do something similar for 20th Century Fox, could the next movie simply retread the same tired tropes, storylines, and character arcs of previous movies? When most people imagine the Alien film franchise, they think of the iconic xenomorph creature that has been the focus of nearly every film in the series. The movie studio's initial impulse might be to give the audience more of what they were familiar with and had come to expect. From one perspective, Every ounce of revenue ought to be milked out of popular film franchises until they are no longer viable. Then move on to the next piece of intellectual property and repeat. Audiences need to be enticed into theaters to buy movie tickets, spend money on snacks, and consume sugary drinks. To do that, it is thought that marketing campaigns need to be compelling, big-name actors need to be attached to the films, and the theater experience needs to be loud, exciting, and visually interesting. For an alien movie, doesn't the plot need to depict relatable characters being put into dangerous situations due to greedy corporate orders? The audience needs jump scares. The characters need to stick their noses where they don't belong, to get punished by alien monsters, get chased, experience gruesome deaths, and eventually face the threat and stop it. This story then needs to be repeated every few years to draw audiences back into the dark, cave-like theaters to consume pop culture entertainment, popcorn, and soda pop. How much of the Alien franchise does this describe? Is this the corporate trap that Ridley Scott himself fell into with Prometheus? An endlessly repeating loop of the same story over and over, the eternal recurrence, the Titan Prometheus's punishment? Or does Scott's film comment on this very phenomenon? Did he find a loophole? Is this communicated to the audience? With Prometheus, I believe that Scott was able to maintain his artistic integrity while skillfully navigating the corporate film industry. Through his company, Scott Free Productions, Ridley was able to partner with 20th Century Fox and Brandywine to produce and distribute the film. In working with the film's writers, Jonathan Spates and Damon Lindelof, a story was crafted that hit familiar plot points and told a surface narrative that could appeal to a wide audience, but also contained a profound message below the surface, while managing to venture in a new direction that left room for sequels in a multi-film series. A direct prequel would have limited the possibilities for future films. Scott was able to tell an epic tale in a visually stunning manner, get the studio what they want, get a wide distribution for the film, earn the financiers returns on their investments, all the while subtly exposing millions of viewers to the film's deeper meaning. For many fans of the Alien film franchise, Prometheus was a disappointment that did not live up to the hype. For others, it was an overly formulaic cash grab by the movie studio. And for still others, Scott's film was a retconning betrayal of his 1979 masterpiece. Perhaps Prometheus would have been more profitable and highly acclaimed if it had been marketed as a standalone science fiction film, unrelated to the Alien universe. M. Night Shyamalan's 2016 film Split successfully kept its connection to Unbreakable secret, which added to the film's appeal upon its release. If audiences had been aware of Split's existence within the Unbreakable universe earlier in the film's production, people would have had time to speculate about plot points and build up expectations in their imaginations about what ought to happen in the story. This was one of the things that Prometheus struggled with. For years before the film was released, people speculated about the plot and built up expectations in their minds about the film. And when those expectations weren't met, the film felt disappointing to many. In interviews, co-writer Damon Lindelof tried to manage audience expectations and offer insight into what the filmmakers were attempting to do with Prometheus.
I will tell you right now that this movie, even when you go and see it, there is space to debate what the relationship between this movie and Alien is. We are not connecting the dots for you. We are giving you the requisite information to make have an impassioned discussion about it. You will know a hell of a lot more than you did before. But it's not like this movie ends with a derelict spacecraft full of eggs crash landing on LV-426,
Right.
Which is the derelict spacecraft that the Nostromo happens upon at the beginning of Alien. That's inevitability, and it's not interesting. And so, I do think that we succeeded in, if there's a sequel to Prometheus, it's not about the things that Alien is about, which is eggs and facehuggers and chest bursters and xenomorphs.
Right.
Like that not only Alien, but then Aliens, they need to go and live off on that tangent. Prometheus is launching, it's servicing that tangent. It's saying, here's an explanation. You'll understand the context of maybe where some of those things came from.
Right.
But it's much more interested in going off in its own direction. And were there a sequel to Prometheus, it probably wouldn't need to trade in any of those ideas.
Prometheus is not meant to be a direct prequel to Alien. The story is not about the xenomorphs. The film's title and its exclusion of the word alien clearly communicates this. This film was not meant to be a claustrophobic horror in space film. It was meant to be a grand science fiction epic and a towering work of moral philosophy that happens to take place within the Alien film universe. The plot purposefully hits familiar points from the franchise, while also leaving room for multiple interpretations. The filmmakers don't want to tell you what to think about the story. They want it to be open-ended. Lindelof, in particular, wants people to be able to discuss the film with one another, debate different interpretations, present their own theories, and have opportunities for speculation and ongoing interest. While the filmmakers certainly had an intended story in mind that they wanted to tell, there is enough ambiguity to create space for audience participation in the lore-making process. If you watch Prometheus looking for straightforward storytelling with the answers spelled out for you, you will likely be frustrated with the film. You may feel like Holloway when he doesn't immediately get his answers upon arriving at LV-223. After a brief trip inside the pyramid and an examination of the severed engineer's head, Holloway concludes that the structure is a tomb and all the engineers are long dead. Without even needing to explore another pyramid, Holloway's assertions are proven wrong by David. And with repeated viewings of Prometheus and by consulting the film's references and bonus material, it is possible to find what you are looking for. So do not despair. With patience, you may receive answers, though you should prepare yourself that they may not be the answers you desire. Besides a sense of entitlement to easy answers among some of the film's audience, the major reason that I believe Prometheus has been underappreciated is because the deeper meaning of the film has been totally lost on the vast majority of viewers. Much of the Alien film franchise has been dedicated to commenting on corporate malfeasance. Prometheus adds to this commentary, but it also delves into the types of personal ambitions that often lie behind corporate decision-making and world-building efforts. So what is Scott's film trying to communicate to us? Shaw and Holloway search for evidence of mankind's origins. They find artifacts in the ruins of long-gone ancient human civilizations, which were created during the rise and peaks of those civilizations prior to their falls. On LV-223, the Prometheus crew finds more ruins of an ancient alien civilization that seem to experience some kind of cataclysmic event. The Prometheus expedition, perhaps doomed from the beginning, was ultimately a failure. Weyland's company, a corporate empire that is willing to sacrifice its subjects, went under after the events of the film and was acquired by the Weyland Corporation. In the real world, 20th Century Fox was acquired by Walt Disney Studios in 2019. This theme of the inevitable rise, fall, and conquering of kingdoms is explored explicitly in Alien Covenant.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair.
Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away.
Humans, and perhaps all living creatures, seek power. Once attained, that power is wielded over others. Those others eventually rebel and overthrow the powerful to become new tyrants. Or they flee to freedom and perish, or return to the kingdom from which they escaped, or build a new tyranny. The old kingdom falls from within and disappears, or is conquered and colonized from the outside. Are the only choices to be a subjugator, a subject, a conqueror, or a lost wanderer? To be a slave to our biology, to the desires of the flesh, or to totally reject the flesh and retreat into purely spiritual or virtual spaces? Is this the inevitable pattern that will repeat until our species, a biological empire, collapses and goes extinct? Is this our program running as intended until all life dies out? Or is there an alternative, a way out? Does Ridley Scott's Prometheus present such an alternative? Can our flesh be harnessed for another, higher purpose?
I deserve to know why.
Does it matter why they changed their mind?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
I don't understand.
I guess that's because I'm a human being.
Are we condemned to a cycle of birth and death, creation and destruction? Does nothing last? Is everything eventually lost to decay? In the film Prometheus, that is offered as one potential path. Another path may exist as a code, a pattern, a story that outlasts the kinds of empires that are prone to decline. What story? Is it the one Prometheus is trying to tell? Is this an original story? Is it a retelling of a great story? In the next video, I will continue my analysis of Ridley Scott's 2012 science fiction film Prometheus by taking a look at an issue with the previous interpretations that I've offered. If you are interested in content like this, like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to my Patreon and YouTube channel. Early access to ad-free videos is available on Patreon. From the Film Symbologist, thanks for watching.